Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. All right, so as of late, if you've been watching the news, especially financial news, there's been all this talk about Evergrande, and they've been talking about how China's having these massive power outages. So let's get to the power outages first. Yes, China is having widespread power outages, lack of fuel, and etc. They've got flooding in their, their richest coal mining region, which has devastated their coal output. But the thing that you need to pay attention to with the power outages in China is the fact that, one, the power outages are local or regional. What is not happening in China is that people are getting their power turned off because they cannot afford to pay the bills. That's not happening. Then we go to the Evergrande crisis, and Chinese citizens are not being evicted from their homes. I think I've pointed this out before. They're not being evicted from their residences or declaring bankruptcy and all of this. Yes, Evergrande is most likely, and some other related real estate companies are very likely to default on their bonds. A lot of those bonds are held by Western U.S. investors, speculators. The Chinese government has made it clear that they are not going to bail out the corporation. They will bail out the people. Unlike the United States, that in the 2008 crisis, and most likely with the coming housing crisis, the U.S. government will bail out Wall Street. The speculators in China, they are bailing out the people, and the corporations, they're going to let them fall. They're going to let the corporations fall. They're going to let the bondholders and stockholders, the speculators, the gamblers, which is exactly what the Chinese government has referred to them as, gamblers. You gamble, you fail, you lose. That's it. You lost your money. Bye. See you later. The Chinese government is working with local and regional construction companies and governments to complete the construction of the properties that were contracted by Evergrande and these other failing companies. So they're working on completing the construction of the properties that the people had made arrangements for, but they're not going to bail out the corporations. This is a huge difference. Now, other things you've been hearing is how China's economy is, their GDP growth is severely drawn back. Okay. Here's the thing. The expectations, the predictions from Goldman Sachs is that China will have a 7.8 to 8% GDP growth for 2021. Well, China had GDP growth last year in 2020 that exceeded 2019, even during the pandemic, whereas the US economy saw a retraction in the GDP last year. So when we're talking, and still, the US GDP expectations for 2021 is still lower. It's like, I don't know, 4 some point some percent for growth over 2020. That's it. So we're expecting growth over a retraction, where China is expecting growth over growth. Keep in mind that China's GDP last year was growth on top of growth in 2019. 2019 was growth over 2018. Now, we had a retraction last year, but 2019, that was barely any growth over 2018, and there was no expansion of, exports. There was no, in the United States, we did not see an expansion of exports or manufacturing over 2018. Keep in mind, we had over 9,600 retail outlet closures in the United States in 2019. We saw over 200 trucking companies go out of business, which is one of the reasons that we have such a drastic shortage of truck drivers and transportation right now. So, when these people are talking about these things, when people are cheering about this, with China having shortages or reduced growth, they're literally cheering for and hoping that the Chinese people, that the Chinese citizens will suffer. And meanwhile, what the media is trying to tell you is, oh, be happy you're not over there. But why? They're not getting evicted. They've still got universal health care. If your power is turned off, well, so is your neighbors. Your lights aren't getting turned off because you can't, their electricity isn't being turned off because they can't afford their bill while their neighbor's power is still on. That's not happening. Everyone's in the same situation. So, yeah. Oh, be happy you're not over there. No, they're trying to distract you from the fact that even what's happening over in China, okay? That's, where did all your jobs go? Where did all of our manufacturing jobs go? And why? China didn't steal them. The jobs were sent there by Wall Street, by corporate oligarchs, the rich, the 0.1%. They're the ones that are causing the suffering here. But they're going to try and distract you by telling you that the Chinese people are suffering more. Well, the Chinese people are going through some challenges, but compare it to here. Who was coming in to save the people in Texas earlier this year? what was the cause of the energy crisis in Texas where people died earlier this year. It was capitalists that caused that. And what happened as a result? You saw gas prices going up over 1,000%. Natural gas prices going up over 1,000%. You saw we're seeing our gasoline prices go up and up and up right now. What happened with the Colonial Pipeline? Our gas prices went up and up and up. Who's helping you? Your neighbors. If your neighbor's power was turned off, well, because of financial problems, and yours stayed on, did you feel any sorrow? Of course, if your neighbor's lights stayed on and yours got turned off, you felt sorry for yourself. What was our government doing? What is our government doing? When millions of Americans were in line last year and for food banks. All right. The other thing to pay attention to with the energy crisis in China is that part of it has actually been ordered by the government. They actually ordered a reduction in energy production to meet environmental goals. Can you even imagine? Can you imagine the U.S. government saying, cut back on production because we need to protect the environment. We need to do more to protect the environment. Can you imagine that happening? It has never happened, and there is absolutely no intention of it ever happening. It will never happen under our capitalist slave government. It will not happen, period. So they've got more growth. Yeah, they're going through some difficulties. So are we. But who's causing all of these problems? Who's causing all of it? The Chinese government said, procure fuel for energy at any and all cost, no matter what it costs, to provide it to the people. Okay? Can you imagine our government saying that? Well, if you can imagine our government saying that, then why aren't they releasing some of the strategic oil reserves? Okay? There's your answer. Our government is not doing it and has no intention of doing so. We have not regained the oil production capacity that we had in 2019 or 2018. They are keeping production low to jack up the prices, no matter what this does to you. Make that comparison. If you are not looking at these things by the human cost, then you really have nothing to say that I want to hear. And you shouldn't want to hear anyone else that wants to put this all in economic terms. You should not want anyone in this country or any other country to be suffering so that you feel better. Period. If that's the kind of person you are, you can be gone because we've got nothing to discuss. And so, if you want to see people in China evicted from their homes so that they're on equal footing with the eviction crisis that we've got happening right now in the United States, there's something seriously wrong with you. Now, if there is some expectation that because China is going through their own challenges that it's going to lead to us having more economic growth in the short term, maybe even the long term, then that is a false image. Look at what has happened. Manufacturing is down because of chip shortages, because of lack of materials. Right now, there are 500,000 containers on ships that are offshore, off the California coast, that can't be offloaded because there's not enough space, not enough people to offload them, not enough trucks to transport the containers. And in many cases, the container ships are just loading empty containers back onto their ships rather than waiting the 1 to 2 weeks that they would have to wait to have their ship reloaded. They're going back to China or wherever to pick up their next load. They'll drop off the empty containers, load up the ship again, and come back here. Right now, there's over 1 million containers that are sitting in dock over in China. Right now, there are tens of thousands of maritime seamen that have not even been able to step off of their ships in over a year. Some of the shipping companies have abandoned the ships and the sailors without fuel, without food, without repairs for their ships. They can't even get home. So, you know who's talking about saving them? Russia and China. And I think Indonesia. But these are the countries talking about doing something at the urging of the UN to save those sailors from not being able to get home, and they're surviving on things like rice and beans, and they have been for months. Are we doing anything to help them? No, not a damn thing. Why? Because it would cost somebody some money. So, yeah, we're the wealthiest country on earth, but we can't save some sailors. We can't save our own people from being homeless. We can't save our own citizens from going without power. So, what is our economy worth? What is our economy worth? Because our economy isn't helping our own people. It's not helping other people. All right? Share this video. Talk about these subjects, because other people are not talking about these subjects in this way. And right now, I can't share my videos. I'm still in Facebook jail for like another 26 days. So please share the videos for me. All right. If you can, please donate $1 a month to help expand the channel. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching.